Here we are. Good evening. I am Max Porter. By day, I am the writer, editor, lore keeper, board game designer, and stream host at City State Entertainment, makers of Camelot Unchained. This evening, however, as with many evenings, I'm working on a role-playing campaign. In this case, The Wildlands. And I play this game with my friends every Sunday evening. And we have a good time. And I'm going to be doing a bit of campaign prep tonight. Specifically, I'm going to be trying to get through two things here. One is finishing up this magic item card, which, as you can see, now this image was from Roll20, and the parchment background is from myfreetextures.com. Now I've got to look up the right name of this. Now my magic item cards for this game are very, very simple. I don't want to, and that's on purpose. It would be nice. I have, when I make magic item cards, like physically, I don't often put art on them because it's more of a hassle. And I use index cards and write stuff on them. And then I usually add a description and maybe the statistics. I've tried a few different ways. For 5th edition D&D, and especially for online play, what I've been trying out in this campaign is a much simpler approach to kind of help preserve the magic items mystery. I think it I don't think it is such a big deal if magic items are just a statistic, but I think that I love what 5th edition has done with magic items, which is just remove, who knew, just removing all of the stats and, the gold piece costs, and just removing all of that stuff would just make magic items so much easier to deal with. You don't have to... It makes them more magical because they are not... they are more than just a collection of stats. They're a magical thing that you might not understand. My cutting and pasting of this image is really making me sad. But that's what happens when you use paint. So my magic item cards reflect that. And I gotta look up the correct name of this staff. So I'm opening my notes. And... here we go. Scepter of Nezix. Is that what I called it? I know that it was owned by a lich. And she has a different name. I have created a whole backstory for this thing. Where is it? Scepter of Undead Armor Control. Once the Scepter of Lady Zavia the Risen. Here we go. It's all this stuff. That's not going to be the name of it, though. This is the Scepter of Nizix, apparently. I said it, and a player wrote it down. So the Scepter of Lady Zavia would be interesting. But there it is. Scepter, Dead God Nizix. And a player wrote it down, so I have to decide whether to add in Lady Zavia the Risen, by writing that on the card that I hand out, or sticking with Scepter of Nizix. What color do I want this text to be? I'll try to match it to the color of the staff. Ugh, that white ugliness around it is making me sad, but that's what happens when you use paint. Ooh, that's loud. Let's see. Well, just because it is her scepter doesn't mean it would have her name necessarily. Although it's certainly... I wonder... When in doubt, black always works for this, although it would be interesting. Let's just see how this color would work. Oh, that's pretty nice. I wonder. I wonder. It's carried by Equitas. There's a drawing by one of our players. Drawn by Alexis, player of Cordycephii, who also drew her own art, I believe, for her fungal druid there. Oh, this poor player, Equitas, has written down the wrong name. It's Noxath Nar. Okay. I think I'm in the clear. If I want to change it. Although Nizix is a really cool name. question is, if I make it the Scepter of Nezix, how am I going to get Lady Zavia's name into the game? Maybe her name is permanently associated with the dead god Nezix. Okay. Lady Zavia's name is permanently associated with the dead god Nezix, as she, in her highest power as a necromancer, was considered his greatest servant and seemed likely to raise the dead god from his from the netherworld. Okay. Tempted to add something else in there as well. Like requires attunement. You should make this a smaller size. Oh my gosh, why is everything so loud? Thunderous. Oh, that's because my volume's turned all the way up. There we go. I was so Rosie could listen to her. Listen to Rafi, Baby Beluga earlier. And all that. Okay. Scepter of Nezix. Lady Zavia's. I'll just call it that. Okay. Well, very simple and straightforward. But it's important to me that this is mostly a tool for the players to keep track of what they have attuned to. And to know what player, who has what magic item. And I'm not going to do cards anymore for mundane stuff. They can keep track of that on their character sheets. The cards, I think, are only worthwhile for the magic items. So that was one of the changes I'm making. Scepter of Nezix. Lady Zavia's Scepter of Nezix. This group really they don't do a whole lot of investigating. They're not good at it. So they're not going to necessarily find out too much if I make them roll for it. So any information about this I will make easy to find. And if they are interested, they will be welcome to track it down. Alright. You might hear Rosie in the background occasionally. Cool. Okay, so now I'm going to put this card in a deck. Along with another card I made earlier for the map. That is carried by the same character. Or was. Until they threw it into the devilish portal it had opened, and the portal exploded, and the binding was undone. But I decided I'm not going to have the map be destroyed. It's going to be floating in the fountain. Excellent. Very simple and straightforward stuff, really. Oh, man. I do have some long names already in here. Like there's this one. Maybe I should go for it. Make it longer. Lady Zavia's Scepter of Nezix. Doesn't sound too bad. And I think that'll be interesting. Oh, boo, but I'll have to redo this whole thing. Now that I've saved it with that. Leave it. The players aren't going to care too much about that history until it bites them in the butt, of course. Scepter of Nezix. Alright, and then I'll drop the file in. And there we have it. Simple, it's not the prettiest, but it is, I think, effective. Cool. Alright. So I'll be able to pull this up and pull out this card whenever I need to. I can give it to the brave barbarian who... No, the brave warlock. Or foolish warlock. Who is carrying it. Why is everyone's HP so low on this page? I find that strange. Alright, well, I created a whole bunch of intrigue yesterday evening for the town of Torin. And came up with some help from chat, all these events. That could occur. This is going to be loud for a second. No. Okay, saved it. All right. What voice mod was I using for the scepter? I wonder. Can't really recall. I should write this down, actually. I think it was Dark Angel. But it might have been Spirit. Let me test it out.
Behold, I am the key. Grasp thy power and claim thy ruler's right.
Yeah, I think that might have been right. Spirit. Okay. So now, I am, let's see, I've created a magic item card, and I don't think there are any other magic item cards that are owing to people. Can't really check their hands when they're not online, which is a little annoying. But I've got cards for a whole bunch of different things. Here's that grimoire that our bard never uses. I should remind her about this. That gets used the most of any item because it's so simple. Oh yes, I want to do bonus damage. Oh my god, I misspelled attunement on there. Oh boy. That was gone. They traded that away. The Dragon Shield bracelets. The Deck of Illusions. The Ancient Iron Bottle. I don't even really remember what that does. What does that do? Players have all these interesting magic items that they never do anything with, and I don't want to punish them for that. I just want to maybe make some interesting story happen around it. But what does the bottle do? Oh, right. It's, it is on my items as adventure hooks. Objects as adventure hooks. So it's one of these. The resting place. Yeah, see, nobody rolled the DC to... And I guess the scepter kind of announces it. But they never rolled... Like, this party, it's interesting because there's a lot of new players. And not only are they new, but they are mostly of the type of player that is kind of hanging out to, hanging out with friends and along for the ride, and they're not really used to, or maybe they're not interested in driving the action. So that's and then so you know, but that's irrelevant. That's mostly having to do with Ben being new, etc. But what's also related to that is everybody is kind of stuck in this idea that they can only do things if it's on their character sheet, if they have like a bonus to it. Now, that's not true of Equitas, but he's played some D&D before. Or rather, Paul, the player of Equitas, has. So yeah. I never did trigger this mirror. So nobody has a high intelligence, so they really never investigate anything. And those that do are kind of, again, along for the ride type of players. Oh, the Helm of Head Swelling. That was fun. Oh, and the Broken Rod. I've got a lot of things I can make cards for. And there's a totally different map, of course, as well. I should do something with this mirror. It can activate in the middle of the night. That would be a fun thing to find, like a sound element for. A roaring crowd. That would be good to have. Where witnesses death. The previous Helm's owner speaks of his secret location, a haunted voice, before the helm dissolves, but he took off the helmet. He took off the shiny helmet. This whole objects as adventure hooks thing, cool idea in principle, has gotten me nowhere in practice. It's kind of, it's a little bit frustrating. I want the players to look at the map and say, oh, we gotta go here and here and there. They don't really do that. I did have a kind of, I mean, the game started with this very strong kind of plot hook that they didn't really latch onto. And I just reintroduced it again in the Torching of Toreen. Last session with Lou Koss showing up again. This kind of villain. A fairly powerful villain with a lot of magic items who's running around. And he can be connected to a lot of their backstories. But they didn't really latch onto that either. The one thing they did latch onto was Stray's Traveling Menagerie, which was basically my backup kind of theme for the campaign. Never really meant it to kind of take over the campaign, but that has really been the only thing that they've really strongly responded to. Maybe I should have her ship return now that the danger has passed from Toreen. That'll give me another chance to fix one of my missteps earlier. And you might notice that I'm not saying, how do I force the players to pay attention to the objects as adventure hooks? Get interested in the kind of main plot line that I had planned. I'm more responding to, what did they have a strong feeling about? What did they respond to? And I'm trying to make that a thing. I think it would be good if Stray returned and some kind of monster, now that the danger has passed, and some kind of monster leans out the side of the menagerie under her control and spews forth like a stream of water to put out the fires. That would be really cool. That'd be a really cool moment. And then the players can turn in their gem for the reward. And that'll be a good. Okay. All right. So, campaign event 1. Well, really it's 2, because the start of the campaign was had a pretty big campaign event. I'll confuse myself if I do that, though. Stray's Traveling Menagerie returns after the torching of Toreen. A tremendous ship is seen in the sky, and as it swoops low over the smoking rooftops of Toreen, its sails billowing like clouds, a strange and monstrous figure opens a large hatch in the side and peers out. It wears a large collar, but this wears a large collar that sparks with magic. Alright, so what monster is this going to be is the question. It could be a water elemental. Doesn't shoot water, though. Whelm. Whoosh. Magic item could solve this. Decanter of endless water. Although a flask isn't going to do much about a burning building, even if it is endless. Not fast enough to really matter. Maybe a creature that can cast water, control water. I'll have to think on what monster would be best, but maybe a dragon, or like a dragon relative. It opens its mighty jaws and spews forth a stream of water, rushing geyser-like down toward the ground and blasting away the fires in an instant. The ship makes 2 passes around the town and then comes to rest with a sound like in the lake, where it had rested not long before. Your innkeeper, your tavern keeper, with a P, friends rush off to lower the gangplank from the boathouse. Not the alderman's boathouse. The bathhouse. Bathhouse? What is this place? Could be a lot of things. From the boathouse / bathhouse, and strays traveling menagerie has officially returned. A slight cheer goes up as people grasp onto something fun and, well, not just something fun, as people grasp that Stray's beastie helped the town. Its monstrous head retracted back within the menagerie. You see several children and weary but smiling parents rushing to take in the rare opportunity to witness some magical monsters. Cool. Alright. That'll at least give me something if I freeze up when at the start of next session. I'll do it early in the session, but now I have something to describe. Might not be the first thing in the session, though. Might want to let them all just kind of take a breather, establish that, the tavern is kind of at least available. It's not so wrecked and hasn't been burned down. The blind bottle. Whoops. Sorry about that. Might want to let them kind of rest a bit. Since they're exhausted. But if some of the players start going off to start putting out the fires, that's not really... I think everybody needs a kind of moment and, beating back the flames may not... We needed an interlude. We needed a low stress thing to happen. So Stray returning and putting out the fires. I'll trigger it if the players start wandering off from that pretty much immediately in the start of next session. That'll be a good thing to do. But that means I should have Stray's boat back and ready to go. Her ship. So one of these. I've got too many ship things. This is our spaceship stuff. Here we go. This is it. Yay, the Cartographers Guild. Yeah, here we go. So, how did the giant ship get in the lake? Because it flies. And I'll shrink that a little bit. That's a little bit much. All right, there we go. And I will stick that there, and I'll put that on the layer of the GM layer, as well as some text. Stray, it's going to be too small. Traveling menagerie. Excellent. I'll put that. Oh, we can do that if I want to be annoying. That's better. That's a better way of handling it. Alright, and I'll put that on the GM layer as well, and then it'll be popped up and it'll be kind of a yay moment for everybody. I think we need that at the start of next session. And it'll be good because it will not only release tension from the great big battle we had last time, but it will also let us wrap up the kind of extended story that they've just completed, in a sense, of going out of town, fighting monsters, coming back with the unconscious body of the basilisk, the alpha basilisk, in a gym, and able to return that to Stray. Or not return, return the gem, but give her a new beastie for the traveling menagerie. So, that'll be good, and then they can get a new mission, which I should come up with. Alright. Got some cool ships saved in my library of images here. Okay. So I picked their first mission from her very carefully, because basilisks have the potential to be lethal. They are of a good challenge rating for low-level characters, and this is a large party, so I knew I needed something, of a serious challenge. I picked that one very carefully. I would like to let them kind of go off, pick their own thing. But it might be... The other reason that I introduced this story, besides it being my kind of backup, like, well, if they don't engage with anything else, I know they'll engage with tracking down legendary monsters, which is exactly what has happened, because this has been the thing they've concentrated the most on. The other reason I introduced this this traveling menagerie mission series storyline is I wanted to, in this hex crawler game, there's really the potential for them to, I mean, they started here. Well, they started here at the Dragon's Lair, had to run from the dragon. And there's just a lot of deadly and dangerous stuff. I kind of decided that the farther they get from home, the more dangerous things there are in the wilds, in terms of random encounters. But anything that's sort of on the map can potentially is there. So, there's a dragon here. There was a mated pair of dragons there, and one of them knows the scent of the surviving one knows the scent of the party. There's might be a giant orc convocation of tribes here. So there's a lot of potential for them to stumble into extremely dangerous stuff. And when they traveled over here, they were kind of getting away from this kind of starting area. I call it the starting area. It just means that it's a little more civilized, and there's a few less wandering monsters around. Probably because of the presence of a dragon and an orc tribe that has, driven some of the other monsters away, perhaps. But they can really run into some unexpected dangers, and on this hex map can really run into things that are either too easy or too hard. So the idea behind the Traveling Menagerie is oh jeez, I keep doing that. Is that it's always going to provide challenges that are not map based. So yes, it makes them go someplace to do something, to track down a monster. But it's not. But Stray has a pretty good idea. She's a pretty good judge of power. And so she's not going to send them off to do something too dangerous, but maybe just dangerous enough, because she doesn't want to do it herself. So what kind of monster are we going to do this time? I have my monster manual here. In my last few minutes of the stream here, because it's going to be 1 hour in 5 minutes. Oh, this is my player's handbook. I held that up to the camera without looking at it, and you all could see that it was not the monster manual. So I looked funny. What sort of... Maybe I should get inspiration. What sort of strange and powerful monster will she send them after? Actually, you know, so there's multiple reasons. One is that it gets them going someplace, that I had the Strays Traveling Menagerie kind of, we'll call it a storyline, even though it's really more of just a series of simple quests. Again, that's intentional. I want there to be something simple and fun that they can do without, if they just don't want to engage with, some of the other higher drama things that I have seeded in the world. If they're not interested in those, if none of those are hooking them, there's always going to be this baseline. And the other ulterior motive is I can make sure that I use monsters that I have great tokens for. So, I don't want to use demon or devil as their next target, because we just had a whole thing with a whole bunch of devils, and they may have more devils to hunt down. Could be an undead. That's kind of fun, a scare golem. But I don't know, would she have undead? I guess she would have undead on the Traveling Menagerie. It's all kinds of crazy stuff. And besides, imprisoning undead in a kind of in a menagerie, in a zoo, I guess I would have fewer qualms about that, except that they're really dangerous. But then so are any number of the other monsters in there. What kind of undead is going to be good for a menagerie, though? Why is the squid guy an undead? That's asking the real questions. Okay. I didn't see anything that grabbed me there. Oh my gosh, a Belker. Is there a Belker in 5th edition? And how powerful is it? It's not in the monster manual, which it used to be back in the day. Is it in Volos? I doubt it. Or Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. Of course, a Chimera would be a classic. Basilisk, Chimera, almost feels like the same thing, but I'm pretty sure a Chimera is going to be way too strong for the party. And again, one of the reasons to have this... Wow, there are no monsters in the monster manual beginning with the letter C. I don't think. There's no cloaker either. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong place. Here we go. Cambion, Camel. Chimera. Yeah, of course it's in here. What about a Belker? No. I'd love to throw a Behir at them, but that would probably trash the party. They might run into one in the wild, though. I can't be responsible for that. How strong is the Chimera? It is kind of perfect, and I do have a token for it. Oh, and it's a great token, too. That's really characterful. Oh, you know, just casually throw Tiamat at them. Where's the Chimera? Can you tell I'm tired? I need to, I'm gonna need to turn this off. But I might go for the Chimera if it's not too strong. Although all the monsters she sends them after, I think are going to be legendary from now on. I gave the Basilisk, I didn't give it a legendary action. Chimera probably is going to be way too strong. But I wonder if there's a version of it that isn't. Challenge 6. Doesn't have a legendary action naturally, so this would be a legendary Chimera. Alright, so it's challenge 6, which is dangerous, but remember, it's an extremely large party. So they kind of need that. Multi-attack, bite, horns, claws, fire breath can replace one of the others. So we've got a dragon head and a goat head and a lion head. That's pretty awesome. Chimeras, I think, if I recall correctly, Chimeras used to be even stronger. Because they all had like a breath weapon or some crazy thing. Like the goat head was the most dangerous because it could stun you. But I might be remembering incorrectly. It can... Alright, so the bite... So 11 average damage, 10 average damage, and 11 average damage. So if it attacks one person with all 3 of its attacks, it could take them down. The fire breath does 31 fire damage on average. Wow. And that's average, so that could instantly kill a player. It's a little too strong. Just a touch. They are level 3 now, so they can take a lot more on than they used to, but I think the Chimera would be a little too strong. Just over the edge, I think. Just because their HP is a little, and again, most combats I'm not going to worry about this. So it's like if they run into a Chimera in the wild, that's what happens. But Stray isn't going to send them to their deaths. Gotta see if I can find a Belker somewhere. That's such a weird monster. Delver, that looks strong. Well, I'm not quite sure yet. What else have I got? Got all these Nagas. A cat Naga? What is that? That's pretty funny. I think the Dark Naga is the weakest. Nagas are also really strong, though. But it might be interesting to go after something intelligent and that can cast spells. Oh, they fought a Bone Naga in the sandy dungeon beneath Rubble Point. I'm getting too tired. Brain is slowing down. Well, I want it to be something like iconic enough, like a Chimera, but unusual enough. It's just, I think the Chimera might be a little too strong because it can instantly kill some of the party members. Although they are going to have a lot of time to think about it and prepare. Maybe that's it. Maybe they'll have to go after the 3-headed beast. Maybe that's what she'll send them for, but warn them that it might be a little out of their ability, and then, you know, at least they're warned. And they can take it on when they want to. Where am I going to put the Chimera? Where do I want to send them? They've been down this way. I'll think on that. I'll pick something that I have like a cool map for. There's a lot of desert near here. Fortunately, I have a lot of desert available, but a Chimera, if I go for that, I'm not sure, because it's a little on the strong side for sure. But I'm excited to have him go up against a solo monster, because I like the idea of them going up against a solo monster, because we just had this massive battle against all the Lemures. Alright. Well, I'll decide later. Another good option might be an Ettin. Do I have a good Ettin? A two-headed giant? That's another, like, iconic but not all that well known monster. Well, I've got these guys who are pretty cool. Look at all these different Ettins. That's neat. It's a dead Ettin. Not only do I have Ettins galore, I have multiple Ettins. Athak would be nuts. Oh man, I've got a lot of tokens. And I'm always taking donations to get more. If you want to see a particular monster, hit me up. Let's see. Ooh, look at this. Shambling mound. I don't know, it's a pretty good set of Ettins. Boss monster token set. I do have this hill giant as well. I'd rather have that hill giants because one of the players has a particular reason to seek out hill giants. So I kind of want that to take them in a totally different direction. Alright, well, I have some pretty good Ettins. And I know that those aren't going to be too strong. They're big brutes with clubs. Wakeful is the ability. Yeah, multi-attack and all that. So they can hit hard, but I have all these Ettins, but Ettins are supposed to lead solitary lives. It's interesting. Might be a hunt for multiple Ettins then. It's kind of a fun idea. Alright. Well, on that note of seeking a new monster to send the players after, I'm going to turn off tonight's stream. Thank you anyone who has been watching or listening to me ramble on about my campaign prep. I hope to be back tomorrow night with some more campaign prep. Maybe tomorrow night I'll get to creating a wizard character for my brother, who's going to be joining us as a guest star in an upcoming session. But until then, thank you very, very much. And have a good evening. Bye-bye.